And then we wait some more. Oh, hey, we're live. Good evening, ladies and menfolk. Welcome to episode 55 of Word Ninjas Live. We survived InCONCeivable. Hooray!
Somehow.
Somehow. In an inconceivable manner, most likely. But yeah, for obvious reasons, we did not have a show yesterday. We were slightly distractimacated, especially seeing as my last panel ended just at 3 o'clock. And then there was booth breakdown and figuring out logistics for various things and
Which
other...
you came back to find that the booth had already been completely broken down by the time you got back.
Yeah, we would know.
It just needed to go to the cars.
We were having fun talking to peoples, and then talking to other peoples. But we still wanted to do a show this week, so here we are. There is no structure this time round, so just like our Kineticon review, we're doing an InCONceivable review. To show off all the shiny baubles we got, talk about all the fantastic things that happened during that weekend, and any constructive criticism or commentary that we happen to have. As the fearful leader, I should probably kick things off. And since I conveniently have my whole stack of stuff right here. The first thing that I got was a signed, all sorts of signatures stuff of the program from the weekend. Filled all throughout from pretty much all the vendors and guests except for us. It might have just been all the special guests. Well, no, some of the vendors are in there too, so. But maybe they just realized, hey, it's for our booth. Maybe we don't have to sign it. But yeah, this is going to go somewhere special because that is pretty cool that so many people signed it. And since that's on top, weighing everything down, we happened to be visited by someone we recognized from Kineticon this weekend on Saturday, I believe it was.
Yes.
Who had all sorts of shiny baubles for everyone, pretty much. I was not expecting to see someone who would recognize us, never mind likes us and appreciates what we do, and he gave us all sorts of shiny baubles. One of the biggest ones of which is an Alpha Smart 3000, which, I mean, whoa, it's a freaking Alpha Smart 3000. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing with this because I'm actually not traveling that much on the train anymore, but we are definitely going to find a use for this because this thing is very durable, very transportable, and very versatile. And I actually found a USB cord that I can utilize with this so I can sync it to the computer with minimal fuss.
Woohoo!
So yay! Put that somewhere out of the way. And something I was not aware of because I was running around like a headless chicken during Kineticon, but that person also does a lot of inking of pretty much whatever he feels like doing a copy of. And he decided to ink the cover of Volume 22 of Fairy Tale for me. Let's try and... No, tilt the other way. Other way. There we go. No. Mirrored. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's relatively even, I think. But
Relatively.
yeah, even enough. But yeah, he inked all of that for me. And that is fantastic. And then that went as my binder cover for the entire weekend. This is also going to go somewhere special. And another fantastical person that I know I've met him before, probably at Kineticon, just more in passing. We haven't really had a chance to converse in detail, but Rusty, who was only 2 booths over, is a fantastic person, and he gave us a signed limited edition print that he did for InCONceivable itself. Let's see. Relatively even. So that is really cool. And we are going to do a giveaway of this once we figure out the details of how to do a giveaway of this. still figuring out the logistics for that. But that was really nice.
He actually came back during breakdown yesterday, and I have one of those too now. He was really cool.
And let's see. They were also doing little promo cards for InCONCeivable during that weekend. I'm so off-center with this. And signed by Rusty and Jim. I think most of these are. Yeah, we have like 4 copies, at least that I have. And I think everyone else has a handful as well. These are really nice too.
Yeah, there's at least I think 1 or 2 in this house.
Yeah. And because these amused me muchly, I had to purchase them from him, but I got a color print of one of his pieces because it is very nice. And then one of his for Samurai Jack, because Samurai Jack. Can't say no to Samurai Jack. And then a bajillion business cards from all the various fun vendors and peoples. And the only other 2 big purchases I made was Munchkin, which is a very entertaining card game that I'm going to force my crew to play. Maybe once I get some extra booster packs for it as well, because those are about as amusing as the Hangouts Against Humanity expansions.
Oh boy.
Not as dirty, but just as entertaining. And then the only other thing I really got that really made my weekend was a wolf ring that I blame Will for making me get. And by making me get, he walked over to that vendor with me. Because we were just going to look at the D&D stuff, because they had D&D stuff. And then I turned around and like, oh, hey, jewelry. You know, I bet you don't have this ring that I've been looking for 5 years, because I've been wanting a ring for 5 years. What style did you want? I want a wolf ring. You mean like that one that's right there, staring right at you, in plain sight? And then, it is mine.
It was quite the amusing conversation, and I was privy to it all, laughing at you behind your back.
More at my side than behind my back for
Yes.
most of the time, but yes.
While encouraging you to purchase it. Buy it. Buy it.
Okay.
I think I did that for everybody, where I went, hey, I want to show you something at this booth, and then they ended up buying something.
Yeah, you are a very bad influence on us.
I
You're a
have
horrible,
to,
horrible person.
have to be a bad influence on somebody.
Yeah, those are pretty much the majority of all the shiny baubles I got. It was a very entertaining convention, and I will give my own thoughts and opinions after everyone else gets to show their baubles off.
I'll be here all day. Are you kidding me?
Well, considering it's already nighttime,
Wise ass.
someone has to be.
There's plenty of that going around this group. Are you kidding me? I don't know. I was just amused by the fact that we had Tim and JG next to us all weekend.
They are incredibly entertaining and incredibly dirty people.
They really are, and we love them both to death. I was actually lucky enough to get to get autographs from both of them, and Tim did the picture, and JG was great and actually signed a badge that I drew, so I was very happy with that. So I even got to draw for Tim, so that made it even better.
I'm kind of annoyed at myself that I did not get either of their signatures on anything. Every time I thought about it, I was somewhere else. And then by the time I was back down there, I didn't think of it.
Or they were somewhere else.
Or that. They were running around more than we were.
sometimes against their will. I noticed. I know I caught Tim outside a couple times just hiding. Just give me 5 minutes to have a cigarette, leave me alone. The poor guy.
Oops.
But yeah, like I said, I have quite the collection of the recollection cards myself. I got all 3.
There are 3 of them.
There are 3 different ones.
I have 4 copies of one.
Yeah, no, I have the one that you have with
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I have these 2 as well.
This
Oh,
is the
nice.
first I'm seeing of these cards, and I was there all weekend.
Nice.
Well, every time I would talk to Rusty and to Tim, to Jim, they would be like, "Oh here, oh here, oh here."
Yeah.
Like, okay, I gotta say no.
We should probably also throw out some last names so people who are actually talking about.
Yeah, we could.
It's
Rusty Gilligan
Yeah.
and
Jim Taylor.
yeah. I'm not good with last names, so it's. Although I could cheat, I do have a booklet right here.
Yeah, see, I'd have to pull up the website to cheat. But yeah, I had to. I spent a lot of time between Rusty and Jim, and also between Scott Hamilton.
Yeah.
Those 3 were amazing, let me tell you.
They are a dangerous trio, though.
They really are. Massive amounts of information and inspiration, and I said it actually on my blog last night, but I'll say it here too. There needs to be a lot more artists like those guys. Just
Yes.
willing to share experience and tips. And Rusty actually sat and went through my entire portfolio, giving me things about I could try, try this, try that, flip this around. Scott actually sat down with a piece of my work. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I have a pile of stuff here. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
It's somewhere in the pile.
It is somewhere in the pile.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we got to record a couple of those panels that they covered. So it was useful for all of us that managed to attend, and I look forward to being able to getting it up on our channel to share with everyone. Because what they have to say is quality. It's
Massively.
just pure gold. Well, figurative gold. If it became pure gold, that would be fantastic as well.
Yes. It can be translated into that if we do it right.
Working on it. That was one of the panels.
Yes, but like I said, yeah, as I was saying, Scott actually went through one of my drawings, and you can see the pencil from where mine originally was, and he showed me like line techniques and was helping me fix my anatomy problems. Because you can see
anatomy.
the pencil lines over here are actually his. Because like if you want to do this, you probably should have moved his arm about an inch this way.
Huh. Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and he was showing me about because I do everything freehand, and he's like, "No, don't do that. Get yourself these." He showed me all the French curve templates, and he actually gave me a circle one. Again, it's around here somewhere. I had it a second ago, but there's just crap. Nope. Stuff everywhere. Stuff everywhere.
Oh dear. Justin is going to try and join us shortly, but his laptop is under repair and upgrade at the moment, so it's going to be via tablet. So, just a warning, if I need to mute him because of sound, I shall do so.
Yeah, tablets can be
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of a crapshoot, unfortunately.
Yeah, it really can be. Oh, there's the template. It's over here. But yeah, he gave me circle templates to use too.
Ooh.
Which is circles. I draw a lot of circles, so this is actually very helpful. How many times do I draw the blood seal and Roy's circle, and I'm always by freehand trying to draw a circle. I've gotten almost as good at it as Ed. I swear I could draw my own alchemy circles. But also, Pete, who gave you the ink, visited and poked at me as well.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy, I love him. I will be drawing for him now that things are quieting down again. I'll actually finally get to start working on the project that him and I have been talking about.
Hooray!
One of these days, I have ideas running through my head, and I haven't had a chance to do anything with them. Well, because some research is involved, and I want, like they said, references.
Yep.
So, but while he was
actually kind of amazed at how many people stopped by the booth or that we walked by who recognize us. Like,
I had
we
actually
saw you at ConnecticCon.
I had a cosplayer come up Saturday morning that I had talked to out on the deck at ConnecticCon. It's like, oh, you remember me? I was the Envy you were talking to. I'm like, huh? I'm like, holy crap! I know you. Okay, yeah, I remember who you are. But it's weird being recognized by people. It really is.
Yeah.
It's an interesting experience. Or that people would purposely come back to see you.
Mm.
Even at ConnecticCon, remember we were having that experience. The people from last year were coming back.
Yep.
So it's like, very cool.
And then we can subtly nudge them like, it's great that you came by, and even if you came by to see us, there are a lot of other vendors here, so after you buy all of our stuff, buy all of their stuff too.
Yeah, visit everybody. But you come see us first. We appreciate that you came to see us first.
Yep.
Make sure you visit everybody. Because that's how it goes. But yeah, again, speaking of our wonderful friend Pete, he came by. First of all, he let me have this one, which is again, his ink.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool because I just died laughing because I know the next scene right after this is where Ed flips out reciting the periodic table.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's like, Pete, please can I have this? He's like, yeah, go ahead, take it. But he actually floored me when he came up. Remember the piece that I just showed you about 2 minutes ago?
Mm-hmm.
He took my original from that and actually inked my drawing separate, recreated in ink my own drawing. I cannot tell you how flattering that is, because nobody's ever done that kind of stuff for me before. And like I said, I was speechless. I am still speechless, because that was just amazing. And a lot of the things that he does, they're really good. They really are. And I can see it only getting better. Plus, also, and I hope so, because I'm going to be trusting my pencils to him. But just seeing that, I'm like, I'm okay with this. I'm very much okay with this. And then he came across, he got from Japan the panel paper. I can't really I can't show it on the camera because it's just too faint. But it's got all of the little dotted line breakdowns for where the panels are. It's got all the measurements across it.
That's cool.
And I was just like, yes. Panels, we're doing panel stuff. I laughed at him. It's like, how did you know I was trying to do my own dojin too? That's a project for when I have free time. After I finish writing it. Oh my god. I've gotten like one page, but I haven't gotten out of the first scene yet. And then, I had one more thing from Rusty. We got the autographed print of his Ghostbusters.
That was a nice one.
I also debated getting the Harold Ramis one that he did. I'm like, ow. No, I want all four of them. I want all four of them. And it's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. How can you say no to the Marshmallow Man?
True.
And yeah, like I said, I have one of the pirate prints too. So much art, so much love. Knock it off. And of course, we talk about this one over here being the bad influence, right?
That he is.
Not sorry.
Not sorry at all. He found this and he had to show me, and I'm not typically an oh my god spend all the money on the first day kind of person, but When there's only 2 of these sitting there and they're only $20, I don't say no. Pocket watch, the necklace, and the ring all together.
That is a pretty good deal. And they are
And
very nice, too.
Oh, the watch is amazing. Just the watch itself makes it worth it. Because it's got the military thing, but it's you can see through it.
Nice.
And then it's got like the goldish bronze look, and it's got that on the inside. Oh, Bastutian glare. But you can kind of see it's got the flamel inside. You want to get me on my good side, you can always send me Full Metal stuff. Full Metal, Sailor Moon, I'm good.
Well, you know how your friends are. They will do that.
Yeah, they will, and unfortunately the one that will do, the one that did that this time, unfortunately can't be with us today, which is sad. But yeah, Calvin, and ever love him, got me the keychain with the flamel on it.
Ooh, I hadn't actually seen it. I just heard about it.
I want to know when he did it, because I was over there. I talked to him like 2 seconds later, and then like, are you the Flash or something? How did you do this?
Well, he does have a pretty bright flash.
He does. He really, really does. He's blinded all of us, I think, at least once or twice with it. And I'm hiding them in here. Well, because I don't want my stickers to get gross. I got an entire, I'm not going to pull them all out, but it's an entire set. There's 25 of them here, of the Black Butler stickers.
That's impressive.
They were only $0.25 a piece. They were $0.25 a piece.
That's
so I got the
not bad at
entire
all.
set. I like entire sets. What can I say?
I understand.
I completely missed my chance with the fairy tale ones.
Yeah, it would have been about $6.25 for all of them.
It's not bad. Ugh, that quarter.
I know the quarter was the bane of existence all weekend, wasn't it? Because I even had to go back for the quarter when I did these, because I miscounted. Well, I sent Will back for the quarter because it was like right there, but
yeah. I didn't even realize that it was tax-free weekend, but I bought my wolf ring on Friday, and it was $21.25. I had 21. I had to break into my cash box, get the quarter.
Yeah, and you mistook a dollar coin for a quarter.
It was golden. It confused me. Mainly because I don't remember having it.
I was wondering how you ended up with that.
Magic.
But yeah, and the guys that had the booth that had your wolf ring, I went over, I think it was Friday, and I was picking on him because he didn't have any, he had like Naruto stuff, he had all kinds of different like anime stuff, and I was poking at him because I was surprised he didn't have any FMA. And he looked at me, he goes, "Yes, I do," and I go, "No, you don't." And he looked over, he goes, "Oh my God, I don't." So we started talking, and I mentioned to him that, you know, if he had, there was a couple that I was looking into, and I came back, I think it was Saturday I got him? Yeah, Saturday. And when I went back Saturday, sitting on the table, he had the 2 we had talked about. So they came home with me.
Yay.
He's like, "Yeah, I made it for you." I'm like, "Good." Yes, give me.
Yeah, those were that vendor was a lot of fun to talk to.
Steve and his wife Linda are amazing people.
Yeah.
I spent a good part of time Friday night chatting up his wife about Sailor Moon.
Nice.
We talked at quite length about the different stuff that's been going on in the mangas and the. She wanted to know. She hasn't had a chance to see the new one yet. Although I have to watch episode 4 because I haven't done that yet.
Same here.
But she had heard about it. She goes, "Have you seen it?" And it takes a lot for me to not judge it with people right now. Because it's like, it's 3 episodes in, it's a web indie, you have to be a little more forgiving, and yet here I am, like the 20-year fan, like, no, what are you doing? I still say their designs are weird. But speaking of Sailor Moon, Haruka is judging you. I
Yeah,
gotta.
she would do that.
She is. Haruka is my hero. Shush. I love Sailor Uranus. She's the bomb. But I saw these. I think I squealed loud enough for the entire dealer room to hear me when these were spotted.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was not there because I didn't hear it. I was probably running around at a panel or something, knowing me.
See, Friday night, you were probably running around looking for RJ.
Or that.
And then Tim ended up with a T-shirt, and it ended up being left on a chair when he left. So it ended up with me. Like, okay. So I have one of the con T-shirts too. Tim didn't seem too pleased, but yeah, we won't go into that. I think he was a little overwhelmed by the birthday cake and the fact that it was candles that wouldn't. They put the candles that don't go out on his cake on him. He was sitting there blowing on them for like 10 minutes before they finally stopped. Unfortunately, my pictures of the event are crap.
Aw.
Or I would put them up and share them.
Calvin was distractimacated buying a little baby alpaca, so we didn't get any photos from him for that.
I chastised him for that. It's like, you leave when all the good stuff happens!
I'm still kind of surprised that it didn't trigger the smoke detector at all. Because there was a decent amount of smoke from those after they kept on relighting.
Yeah, and the big Lego candles were like... They were putting on...
Usually my biggest fear for the night.
Yeah, yesterday, burning the hotel down.
Or triggering sprinklers in the vendor room.
Ugh, that would have been so bad.
But that all went pretty well.
I'm gonna shut up now. I'm good.
I'm going to move on to Will so he can show his baubles and give time to Justin if he has any baubles that he'd like to show off afterwards. Now it is Will's turn.
Sorry, I was making more light in the room when you started talking, so I missed half of that.
It is Will's turn to show off his baubles of shininess.
This won't take nearly as long as either of you guys.
You just have 50 things to show.
Yeah. Minus 47. Over at those fellows where you guys got all the shiny rings and shiny leather pouches, I went small. As small as I could.
A whole set of dice.
A whole set of dice. Let's see if I can actually... Beep. Just one. Just one. One 20-sided die. It's tiny!
Are those the ones you're going to use when you DM now?
You'll never know what I roll. You'll just have to take my word for it.
You just always happen to roll a critical hit on us.
Yeah, well, you know. That's how it goes sometimes. Someday I'm going to buy that D20 that lights up when you roll a 20.
That would be pretty cool.
Just to add extra insult to injury when those enemies do get crits on you.
Does it do a sad trombone if you roll a 1?
No, it just flashes red when you roll a 20.
Oh.
And on the last day, just on a whim, I barely noticed it. I actually bought books at Kineticon.
Hmm.
Well, didn't you buy ebooks at Kineticon?
I bought 6 ebooks from Heather Hutzel and the 2 ebooks from, oh god, the guy in the corner who I was talking to when I had a moment. Now I'm blanking on his name. Yeah.
I got actual physical books. I got 2 books by Amelia Rittner, who was actually in the other room next to our room, because the vendor area was 2 rooms. A room and a half?
A room and a third.
I guess actually technically it was 3 rooms, and they just took a wall down in one of them.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
But I picked up her book, Fuzzy Business, just gonna get the title in there without it. Nope. Nope.
No, kind of,
Nope.
sort of.
Nope. That.
Good enough.
There. And the sequel, Fuzzy Business, Fuzz Harder. And I'll have to keep an eye out because there's going to be a third book. She already told me.
Nice.
So I already know that the second book ends with a cliffhanger because she told me it ends with a cliffhanger.
Oh dear.
She was complaining that her first book on Amazon got some pretty decent reviews. The general stuff you'd get, pretty good book, 3, 4 stars, the typical thing you would get. The second book got 1 rating of 2 stars. I don't like how it ends. It's a cliffhanger. There's more. Hold your horses.
Or whatever other animals happen to be in the book.
I know it involves a cat. And a jackal, was it? Coyote. Not a jackal.
If it was a jackal, then the Fairy Tale podcast would freak out because of an inside joke.
All I keep thinking of that was that one episode of Family Guy.
It's based off of that.
It's a jackal. A jackal. It's a jackal. It's a jackal. It wasn't a jackal the first bloody time. And that's all I got. All I purchased.
Yeah, I forgot to mention I got 6 books from Heather Hutzel because I didn't think to expand my search on Amazon to find the other 4 books. And the 2 books from the other person, I've already read through one of Heather's, and I'm halfway through one of the other guys because I was at the car dealership for 3.5 hours getting my brakes changed. So I had plenty of time to read. I forgot to get Sal's book, though. And now it is Justin's turn to talk. If he can talk.
I believe I can talk.
You can.
I apologize. I'm sort of on the go on my tablet right now. My laptop, which is over here, is currently in a state of disarray due to me upgrading the components in it. I'm upgrading the RAM and the hard drive. But no one cares about that. They only care about what I brought from the con. And that was life experiences. I actually did not purchase anything except food and coffee. I brought a little bit under 200, but one of the hundreds was a $100 bill, and it is very difficult to break a $100 bill. Not just because it was at a con and no one had enough change for that, but just emotionally. It was like, oh, do I want to buy this 25-cent sticker? Well, I could break this 100, or I could not buy the sticker. And I usually went with the 100. So I left the con with exactly $100. The last thing I did was buy some raffle tickets. That didn't end up going anywhere, but that's another story.
You were tempted by some of the figurines, though, I saw.
I was tempted, but I actually was pretty proud of myself for not buying any of them. They were ludicrously expensive, although based on the price of how to get one now online, it was pretty comparable. The price was fair, but I had to think to myself, am I still going to want this lewd anime figurine 10 years from now? And the answer is probably not.
Probably
not. And would I rather have $100 in my hand right now? And the answer was yes. So I ended up not buying. Oh, and the other question was, do I want to be the guy that collects PVC figurines?
Probably.
And I said, no, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to...
No, I'm that guy.
Yeah. It's not that I don't love the PVC figurines and everything. I would collect them, but since I haven't yet, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, because I know it is a very steep rabbit hole.
Yeah, then you would need a display case for them all, and...
Yeah, it's a never-ending nightmare, so I decided against it.
Especially considering your habits with IKEA purchases, and how you can't buy just one.
Yeah, I need extras, because what if they go out of print?
Yeah, so then if you end up with 2 display cases, you need a lot more figurines.
I need 2 of each, because I would keep one in its original box and one on display. And that's how I've done a lot of other things that I've had on display in the past, because I always get to for that reason.
Oh, see, I just display them in the boxes.
Now, if you can't have them in the boxes, what's the point? Or can't have them out of the boxes.
The only thing I display out of the box that has a box is my clamp chess set. But that you can't display. Yeah, you can't even display those in the box.
Yeah.
You'd just be displaying the box.
There's like 12 different boxes, and some of them were plastic shrink wrap, and the other 6 were actual boxes. So it's like, ah!
I also sort of wish that I was a big My Little Pony fanatic, because the Monopoly set had really sweet figurines for the My Little Pony fans out there.
Yeah, that was a nicely done set.
It was extremely high quality. I was impressed. And I was like, oh, I wish I cared at all.
Especially considering there's a Monopoly set for everything now.
Yes.
Collecting Monopoly sets, just in general, has become a thing. Doesn't matter if it's like, a fandom or whatever that you're in. It's just everybody wants these particular, all the Monopoly sets.
Just collect them all.
Yes, they're like Pokemon.
Well, I guess that would bring us to the how did we enjoy InCONCeivable, or what did we think of it, since we've shown off all the shiny baubles?
I think the highlight of my week, and other people can go out of turn after I say this, but the highlight of the entire weekend was having a Harley Quinn cosplayer step on my head for a photo shoot.
I missed that entirely.
There are pictures. They need to be creatively cropped, but they exist.
Was Calvin there for you for that one, or did you do them on your phone?
He was the one taking the picture.
Okay.
So yeah, Justin, for your first convention of that style, what did you think, or how do you felt it went?
I spent most of the weekend cowering in a corner, trying to figure out people's identities in cosplay and out of cosplay, and having a lot of trouble. And I didn't want to talk to anyone because I don't like people, so that was difficult. And eventually I got over it and started talking to people. I actually wish that I had enough time to prepare a cosplay myself. That probably would have made it better.
Well, there's always next time.
Yeah, and I know what I'm going to be, and I already have some of the stuff for it, because it's probably the best Halloween costume that I've had in recent decades. So I'll probably spruce it up, upgrade it a little bit, and go to town next time.
Well, I know once Calvin is back with us, there are discussions for other potential conventions, not to vendor at, but potentially to attend, possibly as press, within the New England, New York, and New Jersey areas. So if you are interested in possibly joining Calvin with that, because I know one of those conventions I'm not available for, we can talk about that off air.
Okay. I'm interested.
Yeah, because they sounded like really cool conventions, and kudos to Rusty for being so open to talk about all the stuff that he's doing, where he's going to be at, and various ways that he is more than willing to help us. He has already been a fantastic resource just within these 3 days alone. So.
I have to admit, with him, I just kind of wanted to just park in that corner and absorb everything. Because to just listen to them talk, it was fun.
Mm.
Plus, catching Jim outside was fun too, because he'll talk a lot more candidly when you can catch him out having one of his little cigar things, and not at the table.
Not on camera.
Yeah. But like I said, even outside, I noticed he talked a lot more candidly than he did down at the table.
I think that is the most fun I've had with other vendors at a convention so far.
I have to say, everyone, patrons and vendors alike, everyone was extremely friendly. I felt like I was missing out not interacting with them more. I guess my thing is that I don't have any basis because I'm not a comic book, manga, anime, geek, nerd, anything like that. So I feel like I was out of place, but I didn't necessarily need to be. That was forced upon me by myself. So I think I just need to get my shit together and start talking to other human beings because they are also human beings.
Except for the ones who are aliens.
Or vampire Santa Clauses.
Or vampire Santa Clauses.
But he was still very fun to talk to.
Yes. Yeah. He was another very entertaining and very dirty person. That was kind of a trend with vendors there. We are all very dirty-minded people, but we can be very entertaining as well.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have. If you ever see like a table that has people there that you're not familiar with, do you still go to that table, check them out, and ask, "Oh, what are you guys about? I don't know who you are." How do you deal with that?
For me, I tend to kind of scope out the booths, see what they have on the table or what their banner says if they have one. If their banner is a little more detailed or explains stuff a little better than ours, where ours is just our name and logo, which doesn't give complete strangers much to go off of. Half the time I will just try to strike up a conversation with them, usually keeping it low-key, like, how's it going so far today, or afternoon, or how are you enjoying the convention so far? What?
Talking to them like normal human beings? I don't understand.
A majority of vendors I found, if you just approach them like normal people or keep it into normal everyday chit chat, they're very approachable and more than willing to just chat, as long as there are not people already at the booth looking at stuff to purchase. Then that takes priority, and I don't want to interfere with that. But very few vendors are like non-approachable from what I've seen.
I guess they're more than happy to get new audience, even if I've never heard of their work before.
Yeah, and there are, even when I'm sitting at my booth and it happens to me or to our table, like people come up, what is full coverage writers? Why do you have a typewriter? Why is there a sign saying bang me hard?
That makes people laugh.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy talking to those people now after I've kind of desensitized myself to that because I get to talk about what we're doing and try and pitch what we care about, and more often than not, people respond with, that's really cool, or I love this button, or I want to play with the typewriter, stuff like that. So it's interesting to engage with the other people one-on-one and kind of try and make a connection. As long as I don't have to do it every day or all day, because I am still an introvert to a degree. I do wear down pretty quickly.
All right, I appreciate your advice. Now, I'll take that into account next time.
That's kind of weird, me giving you advice for once.
Mm-hmm.
It had to happen at some point. Seeing as Ed is unmuted, how did you like the convention? What are your thoughts?
I'm still processing the entire weekend, I think.
There was a lot to process. It was a very packed weekend. For good and bad.
Yeah. There's a few things that came out of the weekend that you and I think we have to sit down and talk about as far as the booth is concerned and things like that. Some more ideas. I was very, very thankful that people were giving us feedback about more stuff they want to see from us. or things they wish we had. That was something, and with it being as small as it was, I mean, we had people throwing stuff like that at us at Kineticon, but it was so crazy that we couldn't even remember it or write it down. Here, we got a whole bunch of it, and it was great that I actually, could take 2 seconds to write it down.
Yeah, and I have half a page of design ideas that people suggested written down in my little booklet that we can play with at some point when things quiet down.
Yeah, and I think I told you the few that came to me.
Yeah. I don't remember them offhand because I didn't write them down, but I remember you telling me about them.
Yeah, I have them written down in the notebook. But I think this weekend was great for everything that was absorbed in my brain. I have never gotten this much constructive feedback before. And not like the jabbing, like the feedback that they were talking about that people usually tend to shy away from. But people try to be real personal and shit. These guys were not. The advice that I got was instead of the you need to fix this, you need to fix that. Okay, I get that. I have a lot in my brain now of how to do it too. So my brain is still trying to.
It was proper constructive criticism, not just criticism.
Yes.
That was fantastic to get.
I mean, that was definitely my highlight of the weekend. That and having Tim and JG on one side or the other making me turn 10 shades of red and singing to me at the same time while Calvin's trying to take pictures. There is pictorial proof of this. I was redder than my shirt.
No, they were just downright impossible to keep up with.
But there was that too.
Yeah.
Tried to get one picture and it just goes.
How did you feel about the quote-unquote balance, or lack thereof, between not only having a vendor table, but also having 3 panels, but also having press badges? So basically trying to do everything.
A lot easier this time than it was at Kineticon.
True.
Although I will say one thing. I think ahead of time we should put together schedules.
I think one thing that became more obvious for this convention, or during this convention, was we need a more official schedule, or at least plan even one day out at a time, saying, okay, here's what we'd like to do, here's going to be who's involved. Make sure there's still 2 people at the booth at any given time, and rotate those people out. We need a rolling rotation for booth duty.
Yeah, you and I need to sit down and actually work on that.
Yeah.
Because I think scheduling for both of us is a challenge.
Yeah. So. And I will openly admit that I was completely at fault for Saturday's lack of scheduling, where things just kind of fell apart in the afternoon.
You weren't completely...
I was going to say, there could have been more visits by hospitality, man. I sort of, at a certain point, was making trips and delivering people sandwiches and drinks and whatnot. And when I thought people were satisfied with food, I kind of dropped the ball for a couple hours and then didn't come visit again. And that was a big deal because that's when there was a big rush. And I wasn't there to support that, unfortunately. And had I, instead of hide in the hotel room and play Hearthstone, I hid behind the booth, there wouldn't have been a problem.
I think that's where I think that's where more of a rolling schedule for booth duty would help out. Because just like with this convention center, cell phone coverage was finicky. So even if we tried to send an SOS, it wouldn't necessarily reach anyone.
Right.
Yeah, or it was reaching them 4 or 5 hours later.
If you go to step outside for a break, then all of a sudden you get inundated. So that's something that was good to learn. Unfortunately, it was unfortunate how we learned it, but good to know for future reference.
We may also want to invest in another type of not cell phone communication device that we can use.
Mm.
I was thinking of getting some, walkie-talkies are still super cheap, especially now, if you can even get them anymore.
Oh yeah, you can still get them.
But
There's
yeah, they
some
have like little radios and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
one more
so-
thing to carry around, but it's
one
something
at the
to look
booth
into.
and one in the hotel room at the very least. Or
Mm.
you know, if someone's on a panel, obviously they can't bring the walkie-talkie. But if I'm
Well, we
wandering the
can. We'll
floor,
just have to silence it. But
right. But if I'm walking the floor, then I can carry one with me. Or if I'm out
Yeah, because anybody doing panel would be off limits to an SOS anyway.
yeah.
But yeah, if you're just taking a break and walking around or something like that, definitely have like the radio or something to walk around with. So it's like, hey, get back here. Okay.
Or, hey, we have a 5-person line and all of them want one of everything. We need a couple extra hands on deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think having the hotel being the same location as a convention was both a blessing and a curse in that regard.
It was very useful not to have to travel around too much to get from the room to the vendors or a panel or anything like that. It is a little different than, say, Kineticon, where we are either 11 floors down an elevator away or 4 blocks by shuttle away.
Mm-hmm.
But it can also be tricky if everything is in one location. So there is kind of a balance to be found there, depending on how large you want the convention to be. I think for a first-year convention, this was a good location to have it, though. It wasn't really overwhelming for attendance size.
A few things that, actually we were talking, RJ was it Saturday night, I think it was, about if there's any way to make it bigger or...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are just logistics involved in finding a larger space that provide unnecessary complications.
Yeah.
Especially for the type of convention and atmosphere that they want.
They definitely, they were great to deal with at least. There wasn't any...
Now, every staff member I interacted with was fantastic. And kudos to them for handling 3 days of ridiculousness and craziness and trying to do everything all at the same time. That is not easy. We have enough trouble handling panel, press, and vendor. And that's not 24/7.
No, their crew was amazing for the weekend.
Would Will like to weigh in at all? I don't want to exclude you.
It was an interesting weekend. I don't know. My opinion on certain of the things we were just talking about are already known. So I don't think I need to restate them so publicly.
We have all been chastised off air.
Yeah. It was interesting. A lot of good networking opportunities, which is nice. It was interesting to be at a smaller convention.
Yeah, we have gotten kind of used to Kineticon.
And we're going to be at the exact opposite in November.
Yay!
Which is going to be much larger than Kineticon.
And they keep announcing more guests. The latest one today is Chewbacca.
Like Star Wars Chewbacca?
Yeah.
Original?
The Star Wars Chewbacca.
The original trilogy Star Wars Chewbacca?
Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Unless they brought a CGI hologram, then it would have to be.
Well, as opposed to like the Chewie that appeared in one of the prequel trilogies, because he did appear once. It was the third one.
I think so.
I think it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was 100% CGI. No.
I don't think so. I don't remember.
I don't remember much from that movie.
I know
didn't
I
pay
was
much
talking to
attention.
Yoda, and you don't even know it's Chewie until Yoda actually calls him Chewbacca, because he's on the Wookiee planet.
What, are you saying that all Wookiees look alike?
Sure.
That's speciesist.
They need to style their fur in different ways.
Maybe it's all in the bandolier that they wear.
It could be.
Yeah, I think one thing that I'd like to do at future conventions, if we are doing all three things at once, is try and schedule panels either somewhat later in the morning or late at night after vendor time. So whoever's on a panel in the morning, that's what you do in the morning, and then you have booth duty in the afternoon, or vice versa. You have booth duty in the morning, then you're off in the afternoon, and you can prep for a panel in the evening, which would be more for Will, considering you're a panel.
My panel's pretty much always going to be in the evening. Though, InCONCeivable did have 18 plus panels in the afternoon.
True.
And I don't know how well they were checking that or not.
They didn't check it for yours. But then again, that was more of a complication, I think, in the hotel layout than
Yeah.
anything else, because to access that particular panel room after the vendor room closes is a little tricky.
Yeah, especially since when they were closing the vendor panel, they told us not to go that way.
Yeah.
Don't go that way until later.
I mean, to be fair, it's nice that they close off the vendor area completely overnight so that all our stuff is safe.
Yeah.
I feel like considering what the space they had to work with, just having 3 days to do it all, and all the content that they were trying to put in, I'd like to think they balanced things as best they could.
Mm.
That said, personally, I kind of wish that our two panels had been timed differently,
Not
considering
during
yours,
major big events.
yeah, yours overlapped with the rave, I think it was,
Yep.
and mine overlapped with closing ceremonies in the concert.
Yeah. So neither one of us had very many people for those panels.
I mean, to be fair, the people we had were fun to talk to, nice,
Oh, yes.
but
Well, I think the mindset for them, and I was thinking about this, doubling up on events, their mindset was, oh, well, if we have an event and no one wants to go to this event, then what are they going to do that whole block? And I think that might have been a little short-sighted because there's always walking around the vendor table, getting a break for food. There's other stuff that you can do while an event that you're not particularly interested in is going on. And I think that they might have overshot themselves by having all of these doubled up panels with hour or half hour breaks in between them. I think if they were staggered and all continuous, then I think that probably would have been better.
I mean, having overlapping panels with other panels isn't so bad as long as they're differently themed. But when you're having, like, the big concert that you've been pumping all weekend that, hey, this band is here and they're going to be performing at the closing ceremony, don't schedule someone's panel at the same time as the big concert or the big dance. Having a panel on one, like on Doctor Who, and another panel in another room on plot pacing at the same time,
that's
you know,
fine.
isn't going to be as drastic as, hey, we're doing this concert for everybody for free, or you can go to this panel with this guy you may not have heard of. Most people are going to pick the panel, especially if you're then doing a raffle right after the concert.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to see the concert as well,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to skip out on my own panel. That would have been a little rude.
I know you also wanted to go see the tea ceremony, which was at the same time as your panel.
Well, it started an hour before my panel, it just overlapped. I'm sure I could have actually gone in and then left early with minimal fuss, but it happens.
Mm.
every convention I want to go to like 90 panels and then I make it to one or something like that because you just can't do it all.
Hmm.
But, yeah, I think overall for a first year convention, they did pretty well, all things considered.
I wouldn't have any problem going back.
Yeah, depending on when they schedule it for next year, because I think they were contemplating a different month even.
Did they say Halloween?
Around that time, yeah,
Okay.
which would
I
potentially.
actually wanted to say something to them about that, considering I don't know about next year, but this year that's Rhode Island Comic Con.
Yeah,
They
that.
they want to they might want to make sure that there isn't another already existing very large convention going on certain weekends, because if they double book their convention at the same time as like Rhode Island Comic Con, they're going to have trouble getting vendors because a lot of the vendors are going to want to go there.
And a lot of the vendors that's from there this year are doing Rhode Island too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Even this past weekend was also the same as Connecticut Comic Con, so I'm sure there was some dueling problems there for vendors and attendance.
Yeah, but that was a new one too.
It was new for being 3 days long. It's actually been around for a couple of years now, but usually it was just a one-day thing. They really
Okay.
expanded this year, and they went to a new location. I've yet to really touch base with Sam to hear how that one went, since she was a vendor there.
Yeah, all I know is about the rumblings that were going around at InCONCeivable.
Yeah. Would be nice to hear her side of it as a vendor. But at some point, I'm sure she's decompressing as well. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other commentary I can come up with, but that really covers pretty much everything. It was a very nice location, and we haven't done anything in Massachusetts before, so that was interesting. And I'm not too concerned about having to deal with quarterly sales tax for Massachusetts, considering our sales for Friday. I don't think it's going to be an issue
It was like a $2.
at most.
I don't have the notebook here handy.
Yeah. It's one of the good things about we do these conventions because we enjoy it. We enjoy being a vendor or just attending as press or even doing our panels as much as we stress out about them. We do it because it's fun and it's entertaining and enjoyable and we get to meet a lot of cool people.
Mm.
We don't do it for the money.
If we did it for the money, we would have had to have quit a long time ago.
after convention 1. Yeah. Of the 3 conventions we've been vendors at, we have not even so far made up for the first convention
Oh God.
combined. So that's a little behind the scenes. We're not in this for the money.
We're trying to at least fix it so, it's not a dream, but hey. Not in it for the money.
The end game scenario would be we covered booth costs. That would be ideal. Everything else, we're just in it for the fun. Because there is a lot of fun to be had at these conventions. Especially at first year conventions, because I feel like those you can kind of make them what you want. Both like vendors, staff, attendees, we all get to make a first year convention what we want it to be, for better or worse. It's really kind of a blank slate. I'd like to think that the staff and vendors did everything in their power that they could to make it as good a convention as possible. Because we all seem to be very passionate about making it an enjoyable experience for everyone, not just attendees, but all of us. because
Well, you can definitely tell, especially in if you've got a displeased vendor room,
things go downhill fast.
they really do. I mean, it's not always so easy to see like displeasure from panels or something like that.
Mm.
But you really can get a general feel of a convention just by looking at the people that are stuck between staff and attendee.
Mm.
Because I think the dealers' rooms, the vendors' rooms, the artist colonies, you see a little bit of everything. Because usually, like, your staffers they have this job or that job, and everybody at some point will shuffle through the dealer room. So you can get a feel from them, and a lot of times if they're not happy, the vendors can feel it. It's a really weird dynamic. It really is. But like I said, you can definitely get a very good idea of how things are going from the mood in that room.
Mm. And that's one thing that I noticed more in retrospect than while it was happening, but whenever I was down in the vendor room for an extended period of time, when I wasn't running around like a headless chicken, there was always someone from staff usually coming down every once in a while to just check on things, kind of get a scope for the room. Sometimes, just like with us, there were a couple gaps where it was just inconveniently timed, or there were larger gaps than would have been appreciated for various reasons, but they did do their best to keep a pulse on the whole situation, it looked like, which is appreciated because not all vendors or guests can walk away from the booth whenever they feel like or want to or need to. Sometimes it's nice to have someone as backup.
Especially with their guests.
Mm.
It looked like a lot of the vendors at least had one or two people with them, or
5.
Or, yeah. Hey, we weren't the only ones with a massive crew.
True.
There were quite a few tables that had at least 3 or 4 people coming and going, sometimes more.
So, presuming that schedules work out for next year, would we go back to InCONCeivable, and what would we like to see at InCONCeivable 2015 if we are able to attend? Even if it's just the same as what we saw this time around, or any additions or revisions, what are people thinking?
I mean, I would definitely go back. As far as the other question, I honestly can't. I mean, I know what we can do different and what we could do better given that kind of a setup, but it's kind of hard to. And it's kind of hard to knock them too much because, like you said, it's a first-year convention. They're learning as much as anybody else.
Yeah.
A little better staff coverage. If I saw that next year, that would probably be better. You know, just somebody around.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, hopefully they can draw in a couple more volunteers for next year to both spread out more staff throughout the entire convention and also help rotate them out so people like RJ aren't on 24/7, 3 days straight, so that some staff members can get a break every once in a while.
Oh yeah, RJ. I was talking to his wife Sunday morning for a little bit. He was passed out, like literally passed out. She said to him, "Like I'll go get him so you can get in the room." I'm like, No, don't go get him. It's not that big of a deal.
I'm glad he managed to get some sleep that weekend, but goodness.
But by Sunday afternoon, he was looking very, very. He was still very high energy, very RJ, but he was looking tired. He was looking tired.
But yeah, shout out to him for running 3 days of awesomeness and doing all that he managed to do. Hopefully they can all pull it together for next year as well. how about Justin, who had no preconceived notions or impressions of what a convention is like? Is there anything you'd like to see next year?
Let's see. It was pretty much exactly what I had expected going in, given the known size first year, kind of the space. Um, I think at a certain point the vendor space was filled up pretty early on after the release of the information about the con in the first place. I bet if they had opened it up to more vendors, while audience might not have been high, the audience was going to be static no matter what they did at that point. Um, but having more vendors and having more vendor people walking around and networking would have been probably better. Um, and then, they did a really good job trying to make sure that they had enough space for people for their panels and convention, or yeah, mostly their panels and events,
Hmm.
which the spaces were probably a little large for that. But I'd rather it be too large than too small and have people walk out and frustrated.
True. And I think that was more of a first year issue.
Yeah,
Once
right,
they can bulk up attendance and really push things earlier on, that should hopefully help balance things out.
right. And there were some issues initially with communications as they were getting stuff together, but all that's going to go away now that they've
Hmm.
gone through a dry run. They've calibrated their sensors, so to speak.
Yep.
Um, I wish there was more nearby food options, but it's not really con related necessarily. That's probably the same at every convention. There's one place with super expensive food, and then that's about it, unless you want to go out and get it yourself. I'm glad
Or
that we had prepared with stuff.
yeah.
That was very useful.
But for attendees who may be there for the whole weekend and are not necessarily able to prepare, that can be tricky.
Right.
But yeah, I know the hotel provided one or two places that do delivery and their menus and all that, which was useful. Maybe if they can do some research ahead of time as to other places that do delivery to the hotel that are within the area, maybe snag some of those menus before the convention and provide that in the little booklet or something like that for attendees and vendors. That might help.
Mm-hmm. Also, I was kind of surprised. They did and this might be a hotel convention communication and price issue. How much was like pump self-serve coffee places? There was probably a lack of easily accessible coffee there.
Um, I'm going to interrupt you because you're getting a little
Convention, not
crunchy.
convention.
Is there any chance that you can minimize the shaking of your tablet? Because that might be messing up with your bandwidth.
I shall attempt to do so. It may also be that I'm running low on power.
Now
Even
you're
though
clear.
okay, I'm plugged in. Let me try to move back away.
It was just getting a little crunchy as you talked.
Okay, I get
Now
some
you're good.
bandwidth spikes. Okay.
Continue.
So you heard my spiel about the coffee.
That's where you got crunchy.
Okay. More available coffee.
Okay.
In summary.
Yeah, that probably is more of a hotel coordination if they could get like one of those carafes of coffee, maybe ideally for the vendors room, but also for attendees if they could. That would be appreciated because a
I
lot of
did
us are
find that
caffeine fiends.
there was one next to the check-in table. I did see
Hmm.
that on the last day, but it was kind of hidden away.
Although that being said, I did not realize until we were ready to leave that there was actual provisions and stuff in the ConOps room for vendors.
I don't
So,
think that was for vendors.
or just guests. Because I
I
know
think
there was some stuff going back and forth between there, but I don't know much about that.
Yeah, I think that was mostly for staff. I think they offered it to us on the last day because they had all that extra food. But I don't
Okay.
think that was a
No,
general
actually, they
vendor
came out.
thing.
They were poking at it. There was a few times they came out and said, "If you guys want anything," and this was between Friday and Sunday.
Oh, okay. So the communication on that would have been good that there was a green room at all.
I think it was probably just for me because I was running around all weekend and not at the vendor table a lot, so I just missed it.
Like I said, I
But just like a vendor information packet would have been good. You know, oh, here's all the things available. Here's where you can get stuff. If you need, a power strip, we've got a couple here. This is what's going to be available to you in the various ballrooms. There's a projector. There's all sound hookup. You know,
Hmm.
I didn't know any of it going in. I don't know if you guys got something that I didn't, but
Yeah, I've been in talk with basically the entire staff at one point or another over the last month, and I've gotten bits and pieces of what's going to be available for us and what's not. Although there was still some initial or final communication mishaps in regards to what was going to be provided in the vendor room, but it worked in our favor in that we had a table and chairs. So I initially thought we were not going to be provided those, so I brought them myself. But it worked in our favor, so no harm done. And now we know definitively what our personal table can handle and how to handle that.
you and I need to talk about that.
I retract my statement.
There's a few things we observed over the weekend that need to be tweaked.
There always are.
Mostly that 50% of the people behind the table cannot be observed.
Yeah, the cube stacks are good for space management, but not for people management.
Right. Like I said, you and I need to discuss offline ways to fix that.
Yeah. Potentially, the chairs that we were intending to use might be a very easy way of alleviating that if we are stuck in that same coordination, but presuming we can find other options or combinations.
I was thinking about, like I said, I have a few thoughts.
I vote that we just make Will levitate like a good 4 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
Easier on my
advocating your
feet.
hanging desk.
Yeah, let's just build my hanging desk behind the booth and then prop someone up on that. We're good to go. I think Ed is done because I kind of finished him. Does Will have any commentary for potentials of next year?
1 extra hour in the ball pit.
I'm surprised they didn't even have a picture of that.
Oh, good God.
At least we're better than DashCon.
Yay.
I honestly was afraid that this is going to end up as DashCon. It really was.
No, after talking with RJ, you could see that, they realized that there were some things that did work and some things that didn't work and some things that needed tweaking. So they're definitely paying attention. I think if they do it again next year, they're only going to get better.
Yeah, they do seem to be very focused on making things as smooth for everyone involved and as entertaining and engaging for everyone involved. They're willing to listen and tweak and revise what's necessary, which not all convention staff are. So I didn't hear a thing.
Sorry, I just had to clear my throat for a second there.
And if any non-inconceivable staff people out there for other conventions are listening, please don't ban us. Yet. At least give us a chance first. I'm kind of curious as to Calvin's perceptions on the weekend, but we will have to get those at another time, unfortunately. But it was also kind of nice to have all 5 of us there, so the entire FC Writers crew was actually in the same location in person, which has not happened since college, and even then there's no guarantees all 5 of us were in the same room at the same time.
Nope.
It never happened.
That was not the case.
So
Because I never met Justin before all of this, so.
this may have been the
Nice
very
seeing
first full
Calvin's-
privileged crew.
It was nice seeing Calvin's lower torso for the first time since college. I had met everyone else at other various events, but I hadn't seen Calvin literally since college.
Yeah, it is nice for us all to actually gather in person for once. Preferably do it again sometime. As dangerous as it is to put us all in one room. What was that, Justin?
I said I think we can handle each other's company.
Let's go with that.
I said handle, I didn't say would enjoy.
Depends on who's handling what.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, considering our crew...
And Con Brain takes over again. I thought we were supposed to be getting out of this.
Nope. There is no escape.
Okay.
But yeah, as long as schedules allow, it would be nice to go back next year to see just how much bigger and better they get. Because that was a lot of fun, and I personally got a lot out of it. And it seems like all of us did in one way, shape, or form as well. So kudos to them for pulling off a very fun and entertaining convention.
Agreed.
Indeed.
Are there any non-convention ramblings that people want to toss into this episode? Because I got no talkie points. I got nothing.
There.
No, like I said, this show is always just us kind of BSing about stuff, so.
Now it's just decompression time, and then follow up with all of the fantastical peoples that we met, and prepare for Rhode Island.
I'm not even thinking about Rhode Island for, until the end of October.
That's when it happens.
Oh, Rhode Island Con, that's one I'm not going to.
Yeah, Justin has been banished to play with nano peoples.
I still say we should do something with Nano at the con.
Banished or spared?
Yeah, considering the size of Rhode Island Comic Con, that's a pretty big jump from InCONCeivable.
I think we're all going to be like, oh my god, by the time that one's over.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting episode. That's going to be like episode 65 or something like that. That's going to be nuts. But considering we met almost half a dozen authors there at InCONCeivable, and I'm already working through their entire portfolio of books. I've already gone through 1.5 today. Chances are we're going to do our best to get all of them on the show at some point this year, which is going to be interesting considering they're our type of weird. Let's go with that. Considering Heather Hutzel's writing style, it would be very entertaining to get her on. And then there's Vampire Santa.
I just loved her promotional image. She in a bathtub, just naked in a bathtub with all the bubbles.
The only writer I've met who is an authoress, and costume designer and actress. And then there's Vampire Santa, who was very entertaining and very dirty.
His stories were great.
Mm. And then I forgot to pull his name up because I didn't get to talk to him as much as I'd like. I'm reading his book right now, so I haven't... Dan. Yeah. I'm reading The Keeper of Bones at the moment. I got about a third of the way through at the car dealership before my car was finally ready to be driven home again. Thankfully, my car survived the weekend. Apparently, my back brakes were basically overdue for replacement.
Oh.
Which is why the recall on my brake pad stuff did not cover it. for various semantical reasons. But c'est la vie. At least now I'm going to be all prepped and ready for Rhode Island. As long as the front brakes don't go by then. That would be unfortunate.
That would be.
We shall see. Unless anyone has other last-minute commentary, I think it's about time we wrap this up. And crickets do not count as commentary. They are not allowed to comment on the show. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think my closing comments would be that I had a good time. There's definitely growing pains on all sides, but I have confidence that we and them will be able to work through it all. As frustrating as it is in the moment sometimes, I think when we all look back, we know that we're all good people and can work well together. And I think that's what keeps us as a group bonded and strong. Or maybe I'm wrong and you all hate me. One or the other.
I wouldn't know if I'd call myself a good people. Yeah, let's go with that. It's probably the safest.
I'm not going to sit here and no semantics on my part.
At least not on air.
As I say, good. The only thing I would argue is the good people part anyway. So I pride myself on not being good people.
We're all well people. Good point.
You went very crunchy on that last comment, but sure, why not? Alright.
Awful evil.
I think that pretty much wraps up episode 55, because we survived another convention. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of craziness, as it always is. But as always, we do seem to come out the better for it. Not counting family stuff that goes on. And I got a wolf ring that I am now going to spin incessantly for as long as I have it. I'm glad that I knew that you had your ring on and you weren't just flipping me off.
I'm just waiting for...
Or at least I'm going to presume that you were just spinning your ring and not flipping me off.
Hopefully you don't erode too much of your skin away.
No guarantees. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for us for episode 55. You can tune in next weekend on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for our regularly scheduled episode. I have no idea what we're going to talk about because I haven't prepped that episode yet, but it's going to be back to our regular schedule, talkie points, writing prompts, whatever else we get into. So check us out next weekend. In the meantime, I am Charles, your instigator of literary productivity, as always, and joining me tonight was Ed.
Oh, hi!
And Justin.
I was also here.
And the William.
Hola.
Until next time, all, have a good night.